Good morning, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. We are live. We are live here in Charlotte, North Carolina. My name is Jeff Malabar. Some of you are meeting me for the first time. We are also live on Instagram. If you're watching live on Instagram, give me a like button. Let me be sure that the audio is perfect. You all can hear me loud and clear. Give me a one on the chat if you can hear me loud and clear. Again, my name is Jeff Malabar, and I would want to give you guys a brief story about who I am, how I started in real estate, why I chose multifamily units. A lot of you see my videos, you'll be wondering, Jeff, what are we talking about? What is multifamily units? How can I get financial freedom? How can I become more successful as an individual? And that's one of the things I cover, because if you follow my history, I'm going to give you guys an overview of my story, just to give you a background. Some of you have not seen my book, which is referred to as the 30% rule. That book, there's a reason why we call that book the 30% rule. I'm going to be walking you guys step by step today how we find gold mines. So my goal here is to help you find gold mine and avoid all the landmines. That makes sense. If you are joining, let me know where you're joining from. I see Joash. I see Discovered Olufemi joined the live. Thank you guys for joining. I see MD. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. MD Hanjala. Let me know what country you're tuning in from. Please comment on the chat there as well. Let me know where you're joining from. If you're live on YouTube, for those of you who are live on Instagram, I've left a link at the up there at the my profile. You can connect live onto YouTube to join this live on YouTube once the stream ends on Instagram. So because again we're going to do more of a practical process. I'm going to walk you guys step by step how I identify gold mine. So it's recommended that you join the live on YouTube to be able to have full overview of what we're doing. So I'm going to start by giving you guys a brief of my story. Again, please, if you're joining in on YouTube or you're joining from Instagram, those in Instagram, try to connect to YouTube to get the stream live, and also to comment. Let me know where you're from, where you're watching from, and everything that's going on here. So I'm going to tell you guys a story quickly, a brief story about who I am, how I started into this multi-family units. So 15 years ago, I made a decision to invest in the real estate market. I had no mentor, I had no direction, I had no roadmap, nothing, no guidance. So all I had was a dream of financial freedom. And they believe that real estate, I mean, everyone knows this without a doubt. The numbers don't lie. Real estate is by far one of the most sure way you can grow wealth, irrespective of your discipline, irrespective of what you do, and that's why I teach it. I said, whatever we are doing right now is like driving. So when you're driving a vehicle and you want to get to a destination, every other thing else we do is part of the road leading to that destination. Real estate is the final destination. So understanding where in real estate the income is coming from is critical to what we are doing. And that's one of the things that made me, had that interest in coming into learning about real estate and about multifamily units. So what I didn't realize back then was how easy it is to get bond scammed and left with nothing when you don't have the right tools. Again, I never knew. I was new. I was naive. I didn't have the background. I had no mentor. I had no guidance. No one was showing me the ropes. So I didn't realize how easy to get burnt and get scammed. And then so the first lesson I learned was how brokers can lie about numbers. It's so serious, guys. So one, I saw a property that a broker told me about. This property. It has a great location. It has a strong rental demand, and the prices were low when you compared the price per square foot. So I thought, well, this is a gold mine. This is a great deal. Yes. Well, I was wrong. You see, just few weeks down the line, something horrifying happened. One, the actual size was 300 square feet below what the broker listed that I thought was the right price. I had overpaid by thousands of dollars, because I trusted the numbers from the brokers. That's something I want you guys to avoid. The third lesson I learned the hard way was there was no way I'm going to go back to fix this. The lesson here is very simple. Brokers inflate numbers. And, and why do they do this? They do this to make the deal look sweeter, to make the deal look appealing to you. Your goal, your job as an investor is to identify that this is a red flag. That's one of the things we talked about. Now, besides that, after being burnt by my broker, another disaster happened. At this point in time, I was more cautious. I made sure that I spent weeks understanding comms. I made sure I get the right deal. So I spent time analyzing the market. I spent time identifying potential comms and red flags in the market. Then I found a property that was 30% below market. So I thought, well, I've gotten the right thing, right? So I ran my numbers. The listing showed that within the area, similar properties we are selling for about $200 per square foot. If you don't understand, what I'm discussing right now, I'm going to spend some time to explain what I mean by square foot and all of those terminologies. So I found a property that similar properties within its region was selling for $200 per square foot. So my thought was, this property I found was $140 per square foot. Sounded like a good gold mine, right? Well, again, let's just see. So the problem was those comms were fake comms by my brokers. So one, the data was outdated. The market has shifted, and so that comm was no longer valid. That was one. Number two, brokers usually cherry pick the best sales to make the area look better than it was. And the reality for me is I've just locked myself into a deal that was not below market. Your goal as an investor, your primary goal, there are three key metrics I use when I analyze properties. And I'm going to break down those key three metrics for you. Price per foot is one of those metrics. And from what I've seen, I thought that I found a gold mine with a price per foot that was $140 per square foot compared to similar properties within its region that was selling for $200 per square foot. But I was wrong. So the lesson here is that you can't trust brokers to give you the right numbers. What do you need? You need real-time data, real-time AI-driven comms that will show you real market conditions. If you are watching this, stay tuned to the end. I'm going to reveal to you my perfect secret tool I use to analyze the comms and give me this data that helps me avoid these red flags that brokers have done. So I've been burnt twice. One, I was lied to by my broker. Secondly, I was burnt in the fact that the comms, I thought the numbers was outdated. So I thought the numbers I was looking at was the right numbers, but I was wrong. Now, I said, okay, let's learn from this. The next thing I did was to hire a contractor. So at this point, I've lost tens of thousands of dollars already in the real estate market with bad data to fake comms, broker lying to me about the market data itself. All this have burned my hands. So I thought, well, at this point, how do I make up for it? So I felt, well, let me make up for this by improving the property's value and of course, renting out the properties to tenants. Yes. So, but I found a contractor, and he came around. He told me all the great things he's going to do in the property. And after paying this contractor, guess what happened? He disappeared. Before he disappeared, the job he did was just garbage, poor materials, poor finishings. Nothing real made sense. And again, the funny thing about this was I had zero legal recourse. Why? Because I did not structure my contract with the contractor in the right way. That's one of the things I'm going to teach you guys. When it comes to structuring your contract, you have to understand how to structure your contract with a contractor using what we refer to as a lien release to protect you in the long term as an investor. So guys, that's some of the things we cover in this, and I'm going to show you how to do this to protect yourself as an investor when you are watching this. So again, like I said before, if you're live on Instagram, guys, make sure you join us on YouTube because the live on Instagram will end very soon. And I'm going to share my screen to walk you guys through the process on how I identify gold mines and avoid all the landmines in the market. So now I've been burnt on 3 occasions. One, I've been burnt by my broker with fake data. I've been burnt by the numbers being outdated. I've been burnt by my contractor. So at this point, like everything seems to be collapsing. What about the challenge on hidden expense? That was something else again that shocked me to my bone. Like After losing even more money, so at this point in time, I told myself, I'm going to find a way to correct this. So I said, okay, let me look for the perfect property. One is going to have strong cap rates. Why is cap rates important? Because the cap rate tells you the cash flow percentage you have on that property. So you want to have at least a 12% cash on cash flow on the property by the cap rate, because the cap rate defines your borrowing cost, what you're borrowing from the bank. Of course, you have to take leverage from the bank. Your borrowing cost and your cap rate will give you the difference. That difference is what we look at. The difference between the cap rate and the borrowing cost give you access to the capital you can gain from that investment itself. So I thought, well, I saw a property that was 7% cap rate. It has a good tenant history, and the price was below replacement cost. Again, that term below replacement cost means it's the price you're buying a property is lower than the price you want to invest into a property if you're building from the ground up. Because replacement cost means building from the ground up. That cost outlay is what you're trying to avoid. So all of this is what I was looking out for. Why? Because I've been bought several times. So I said to myself, I'm going to find me the right perfect property. But something happened. What happened? This is what happened. One, the property taxes were about to skyrocket. How do we know? We knew this because the county had a pending reassessment that I didn't know about. Sometimes you might see a property that the county have an issue with that property, but you as an investor, you don't know about this. You are new to this. It's a new game to you. And so I fell into that trap. That was one of the things that hurt me real bad. Secondly, is that the property had structural damage on that property. There was no way I could identify that as an investor. And so what happened was a previous inspection missed that structural issue with that property. And on my hand, I got myself into a property I'm going to spend over 50,000 US dollars to fix. That was an issue that I knew as I was really bought at this point in time. Then again, there was a hidden code violation. I've seen the property I've gone to inspect before. After driving 2 hours to the location of the property, the seller told me, well, you know what, Jeff, we have an unpaid fine, and the city inspection is on this property means that that fine will be transferred to you if you buy this property. Guys, what happened to me was real-time, real-life experience. After driving over 2 hours to go to a property I was willing to purchase, you're learning from the seller that this property at this point in time has code violations, has structural issues, had an impending legal issue or issues from the government that you have to embrace. All these are part of the red flags that I understood I was getting my hands into. So the lesson I learned from this is that most investors don't know how to check hidden issues. It's not your fault. That's why you need an AI-powered analysis that catches everything brokers won't tell you. The reason is simple. Brokers are not going to tell you the reality of everything that's happening in the market. It's your job as an investor to identify these red flags and pick it up. And that's why I'm giving you an unfair advantage. We are taking you through a level where it's totally unfair, because now you have access to knowing not just the regular vanilla issues on the market. Vanilla, I mean by the prices, the cap rate, the square footage. You want to know, does the property have any code violation from the government? No broker is going to tell you that. You have to find out yourself. Does the property have any hidden structural damage? You can't know that. Your broker will not tell you, but our AI power platform will tell you about all of this. That's why it's an unfair advantage. And so at this point in time, I was done with real estate. I told myself, I'm going to, close the books, take my losses. Like they say, take the little loss you've taken and then run off to wherever you want to run to. So at this point in time, I was already giving up. And I told myself, I'm not going to get my hands burnt into real estate anymore. But again, I realized something. I wasn't the problem. It wasn't me that was the problem. The problem was that I don't have the right system. And that was how we gave birth to Invest Fusion. Most of you must have heard me talk about Invest Fusion before. If you follow my videos on YouTube, if you follow my videos on Instagram, Invest Fusion is the unfair advantage we are giving to investors to level the playing field. As a matter of fact, a lot of top hedge funds are utilizing our tool to understand how to go look at properties that are beyond just the regular. So for you as an average investor, this is a tool that collapses the level playing field for you and give you that advantage you need as an investor. Again, guys, if you are watching on Instagram, I will encourage you to join the live on YouTube. Why is because the live on Instagram will end very soon, and I'm about to share my screen and walk you through step by step, process by process, how I find gold mines as against identifying landmines in the market. So your job here, what I'm going to teach you now today, is to identify gold mines in the market and avoid all the landmines. So you want to avoid all the landmines that can burn your fingers. I've lost several millions of dollars in real estate just because of not having a guidance, having no system, having no mentor, and having no direction. And I don't want you guys to fall into those traps. And that's the reason why we're doing this today. So why is Invest Fusion the real opportunity or the brand new opportunity? Because a lot of you said, I've been born before in the past. I've lost XYZ in the past before. That's what we are teaching. That's what you have the guidance for. Number one, let me give you guys an overview why you should be on the waiting list. If you join us on YouTube right now, there's a link on YouTube that gives you access to join the waiting list for Invest Fusion. So we're giving some users what they call early bird privileges to gain access to Invest Fusion, run through the numbers, test it themselves, and see how powerful that our AI power platform is. Now, let me give you the numbers. Number one, Invest Fusion can give you access to real-time AI power comms. I repeat that. It gives you access to real-time AI-powered comms. That means no more trusting fake broker numbers. Invest Fusion scans real market data in seconds, okay, and shows you how the actual price foot, and give you the actual price per square foot. Remember, I told you I was burnt by a broker giving me a listing price per square foot that didn't make sense. It didn't match the real data few months down the line after buying the property. That's number one. Number two is hidden expense detection. Invest Fusion pulls county records, guys, code violations, and tax reassessment before you buy, so you never get hit with surprise costs. Just understanding that there's a potential ability for you to understand how to know if a property has structural damage, hidden expense, foundation issues before you buy the property, it's a huge gold mine for you. Number three is contractor risk analysis. So it flags potential red flags in renovation budgets, helping you avoid hiring the wrong people. Number four is square footage verification. Now, in most cases, when you are looking at a property you want to buy, the first thing you do is that you see the square footage, and then we encourage you to look for an appraisal, to reappraise the property. At every point in time, the appraisal, whatever is done today, let me give you a simple example. If an appraisal was done today on the property, the very next day, that report becomes outdated, okay? Now, your job as an investor is to get your hands on an appraisal report that was done either recently, you're going to get a new report, or look at the previous report. It's going to cost you anywhere from $300 to $500, and that's low on numbers, to get an appraiser to appraise the property for you. Why is that important? When the appraiser appraises the property, they will measure the actual living square footage of the property to see if it corresponds with the listing square footage. Why is this important? The square footage is like you're buying, is the meat and the bone in the property itself. So if you buy a property with the wrong square footage, you cannot escape this. You're just being hit hard. You're going to lose a lot of money. And that's why with Invest Fusion, it's going to validate the actual square footage from capturing the previous appraisal report square footage to benchmark it with the actual square footage of the listing broker. And that is done for you in real time and in seconds. So you can see all of that in your dashboard that tells you that square footage is if it's accurate or is not accurate, and then you tell the broker, this square footage you're listing right now is not accurate, and I'm not going to pay a penny. And that helps you to avoid losing your money real time before you even start paying anything out of your pocket. Again, because if you go into a contract, you've already lost money up front. So you want to avoid all of these losses by understanding how to identify the actual square footage. That's one of the benefits. The next thing most investors don't know about is called market circles. There are 4 market circles. I've never heard anyone, in my over 15 years in the real estate sector, I've never heard anyone talk about market circles. Invest Fusion will tell you what the market circle is. Why is that important? These are the 4 reasons. Number one, if you're a buyer, it tells you based on the current market cycle. This is why market cycle is critical. Market cycles benchmarks GDP, unemployment rates, market data, government data. With those data, it tells you if we're entering a buyer's market. Already we're in the month of February. the market is beginning to slow down. Most investors don't really know, are we in the buyer's market or are we in a seller's market, or has the market just broken even? They don't know that. So with Invest Fusion, it tells you if we are in the buyer's market, if we are in a seller's market, or if you own a property and if the time is right for you to go and sell. That's what it does for you. It gives you all of those recommendations and tells you what to do at that point in time. Again, the other reason why we use Invest Fusion, it identifies motivated sellers. So you want to buy a property from a seller who is motivated to sell. That way you have discounted leverage that you can utilize. And again, the final reason why we use Invest Fusion is it gives you cash flow and profitability calculations. So you want to know, before I buy this property, what will be my cash flow? Am I going to cash flow? Is there meat in the bone for this property itself? Do I have the opportunity to see, if I take away my expense from my net operating income, if I take away my expense from the gross income I'm going to make, what will be the net operating income? With the net operating income, you can calculate what? Your cap rate by dividing the net operating income divided by your listing price. And again, like I said before, the cap rate is so important because it tells you how much cash on cash you will make from your income. Again, you're borrowing money from the bank. So let me give a simple example right now. If your cap rate is 8%, and you borrow 4% from the bank, 8 minus 4 is what? 4. That means your borrowing cost, you're making 4% on that borrowing cost. However, your down deposit, your own out-of-pocket deposit, is making what? 8% on that property itself. So 8% of your cash on your pocket, and another 4% your borrowing cost, means 8 plus 4 equals to 12. So you want to make 12% cash on cash on that property. That's the barest minimum. So guys, I spent these few minutes to give you guys an overview about who I am, how I got burnt in real estate, why we're doing what we're doing, and why I believe it's time for me to change the playing field, and why we introduce Invest Fusion. Because Invest Fusion goes beyond my book. If you've seen my book, The 30% Rule, those of you who have not read my book, go on Amazon. You can find it on Amazon, and for less than $30, you can get your hands on the 30% Rule. The 30% Rule gives you an overview on the system I use, which I'm going to run you guys through that right now, on how I identify gold mine in multi-family properties. Guys, at this point in time, I've done enough research, understanding, knowledge, and the tool I use it takes me weeks to do this. All of this is done in seconds because now we've leveraged the playing field. So I'm going to give you guys the brick and mortar, step by step, bullet by bullet, hard on, what they call street way of doing this, how I do the old way. This is the old way I do my research, and it takes me days, weeks. Even at that, I don't have access to knowing. Like I told you guys, I drove 2 hours to a state here in North Carolina only for the seller to tell me that, oh, Jeff, we are sorry, but we didn't tell you because it's not on the listing. There's a state violation on this property, and therefore, if you buy this property right now, you're going to assume the government cost. How am I going to drive 2 hours of my time to go, 2 hours of my time to come back, only to hear that 4 hours of my day was spent on traffic? That's what Invest Fusion does for you guys. So if you don't understand the power of what I'm talking about right now, unless you've gotten burned before, then you appreciate the value of this. So if you are watching live on Instagram, guys, please join the Hammond. If you're watching, the link on the YouTube is on my page there. So go back to my profile. You will see the link under my profile to join the YouTube link live. So the live YouTube link is already on my profile on Instagram as well. Please go there. Just go to my profile page. You will see there. I left the link up there at the top there. You will see the link to YouTube. So guys, I'm going to start by sharing my screen. So those of you who are on Instagram, please join us on YouTube, because that's where the real deal will start right now. So guys, thank you for watching on Instagram. Please, if you're watching again, thanks for joining. Adili Sandra, you have Henu, thanks for joining. Hammond, thanks for joining. Please, Hammond, again, the link is there on the profile page on Instagram. Use that link to join us on Instagram, and I will be ending the live here on Instagram, guys. Thanks for joining, guys, if you're on Instagram. Now, for those of you who are here, let's now go into the real thing right now. If you're watching this live on YouTube, you are privileged. So guys, let's do this. Let me walk you guys through how we find the gold mine. And once we identify this gold mine, I want you guys to understand that every step we take here is an integral step that helps you to understand. And you can use this for your single family unit. Don't think that Invest Vision is not designed to help you in single family units. It's designed to help you in single family units. The only difference is wealth is built by you having leverage. And that's why I know for a fact, based on my training, based on me working not just as a broker, but also working with the best, I've been privileged. And that's the good thing I think I'm giving, why I'm giving back to the community, is that I've been privileged to work with one of the most successful, and without a doubt, one of the most successful real estate investors in the entire US. And I've worked with my mentor, how we built wealth from zero to the first 10 million in real estate. But we utilize the same system I'm going to be sharing with you, from 10 million to 100 million. Until this point in time, we're doing over $1 billion. But the process is a step-by-step process. One will show you how to start with multifamily units and then dovetail into commercial property, because you cannot grow. Let me repeat this again. You cannot grow to 100 million just doing multifamily units. You can do 10 million. I mean, if that's your aspiration, yes, if that's your goal, you can do 10 million. But you cannot go from 10 million to 100 million in multifamily units. I'm sorry. What I'm going to teach you guys is the blueprint, it's a system. It works, and we've done it before. I'm going to show you. Start with 1, 2, maybe 1, 2 max. Max. When I say max, so that means I'm assuming you are starting with maybe like 5,000. You say you have, Jeff, I have cash of about 5,000, 10,000, or $15,000 in the bank. Yes, that's why I'm showing you. I'm going to teach you where to start from, how to start from that low level, begin to slowly build your equity, build your equity to the point where you now have an equity. You can now get your first commercial property. Can be a small retail store. All of that I'm going to teach you. That's what I'm doing right now, is to walk you guys through how I find these gold mines. Again, the principle is the same. The principle is also found in my book, the 30% rule. Again, like I said before, if you are watching this, one of the things you want to know is, okay, can I use the same principle in single family units? Yes, while I don't encourage my investors, if you've already bought a single family unit, that means a place you buy, you're living with your family, and you're paying a lot in property taxes right now, in insurance. Well, I'm sorry. It's unfortunate that it's happening. That's why I was pushed, because when I lost money, I lost thousands of dollars, and I almost gave up myself. Because when I started, I had no mentor, I had no guidance, I had no direction, guys. I had nothing. So at this point, I almost gave up myself. And that's why I had to leverage the playing field. And that's why, for the first time, there is no platform in the entire US that combines what we are doing right now. An AI-powered platform that captures both multi-family units and commercial properties in one umbrella. None. So we are changing the playing field for investors. Huge funds, hedge funds, have already started utilizing this tool. And so we want you guys to have access. So for you to have access to that tool, we want to put you on the waiting list. And there's a link below this video that can give you access to that on the waiting list. So let me start by sharing my screen, guys, now, and then walk you guys through what I look out for. I'm going to share